Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Hope you're having a good day, depending on what time of the day you're watching this. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Let's talk about symbiosis. Mr. Smith here, coming at you from Estill Middle, 7th grade. So, oopsie daisy. So, we're going to look at these three essential questions. Number one, what is a symbiotic relationship? Number two, what is the difference between mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism? And number three, what are examples of each? Easy enough, right? So let's look at a symbiotic relationship first. So what is symbiosis? Symbiosis is a type of close and long-term biological interaction between two different species. Now, what the heck does that mean in English, you might ask? I'm glad you asked. Because what that means is how two different things, like a cat and a dog, or a human and a dog, interact with each other over a long period of time. So a human and a dog are two different species. And so we'll look at those different relationships and what those mean. The three types of symbiosis that we're going to look at are commensalism, parasitism, and mutualism. And you can see the smiley face helps us kind of understand what's going on. So in excuse me, in a commensalistic relationship, one guy is happy and one guy is not so happy, but he's not hurt. In parasitic relationship, one guy's happy and the other guy had a bite taken out of him. In mutualistic, everybody wins and both guys are happy. With all the COVID restrictions, we won't do the symbiosis template. So let's look at commensalism. As I noted in the previous slide, it is a type of symbiosis, which is a biological interaction between two different species over a long period of time that occurs between, two different species. So one species obtains food or some other benefit from the other species without either harming or benefiting the latter. So again, the blue smiley face is getting something good, and then the red guy's just kind of like meh, whatever. It's kind of like some of those fish that live on the sharks, and so those are two different species. The shark isn't hurt, that doesn't really gain. It's just kind of like, man, whatever. So one way to think about that there. So some other examples, there you are, the remora. The remora and the zebra shark. The remora attaches itself to the shark and rides along, saving it energy. It also, I think it eats some stuff off the shark there too. Cattle, egrets, and cattle. The cattle's movements stir up insects on which the egrets feed. So the cow walking around causes some bugs to fly around. The egret's like, yum, get some bites up in here. And then epiphytes. Epiphytes are plants that grow on woody plants. They get nutrients from the air, so they only use the plant for support and access to the sun. Another thing that, or another way to explain epiphytes, they are soilless plants, or air plants. So they don't have to have dirt in order to survive. They literally, their roots grow out in the air and they just live on other plants. And they don't take anything from the plants. They just get nutrients out of the air and from the rain. So, yeah. So parasitism. Obviously, parasitism is where one of the two interacting species is harmed and the other one is helped. It doesn't have to kill the other organism, but it does do harm to it. So we call that organism that is being harmed the host. So here are some examples of parasitism. You've got pinworms, which are a small, thin, white roundworm that can negatively affect people. So these often, well, we won't go into where these are. These get in your guts. It's not a good thing. There is a simple medicinal treatment for it. You can just pick it up from the pharmacy and get rid of pinworms. Head lice are small, wingless, blood-sucking insects that live in the hair, and it feeds off the scalp of its host. And then scabies is a skin infestation caused by a mite that causes a rash, and he is an ugly little egg sucker, as you can see there. And some of you may be scratching yourself now because it gives you the heebie-jeebies, and so I'm in that boat as well. We're going to continue on here, and let's get away from things that make us itchy. So, mutualism is a type of symbiosis occurring between individuals of two species. Each of the organisms benefits from the other. So let's look at some examples of mutualism on the next slide. Oxpeckers and zebras or rhinos. Oxpeckers are birds that live on animals and eat all the bugs and parasites off of them. So oxpeckers would eat the like ticks and things off of animals that would otherwise give them a disease or suck their blood and potentially kill them. Flowers and bees get food and the plants are pollinated. Going back to the oxpecker and the zebras or rhinos, the reason it helps the zebra or rhinos because the tick is going to get, potentially give an infection, or at least at the very minimum, it's taking blood and resources away from the host organism. And so by the oxpecker eating it, it's helping the organism that was being fed upon. Sea anemones and clownfish. You may be thinking of Finding Nemo, anemone, and that's fine. But yeah, sea anemones and clownfish are a good mutualistic relationship. The clownfish have a safe space to live, and almost messed up. Anemones are protected from their predators, the butterfly fish. So the butterfly fish comes in, and the clownfish will scare them off and keep them from coming in there. And it gives the clownfish a nice place to live and some protection from other fish that might try to eat it. So here, generally what we'd do is we'd have a printout, paper copy of this for you, and you would match these up. So parasitism, mutualism, and commensalism. The first row where the red and blue smiley face, that is commensalism. The yellow and blue smiley faces are parasitism. And the last row there is mutualism. If you need to go back and look at those again and the explanations, please do so. And you need to ask yourself the following questions. Can you identify the basic characteristics of a symbiotic relationship, including mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism? And can you give examples of each of the three types of symbiotic relationships? If you can, you're good to go. And believe it or not, that brings us to the end of our fun times together today. I hope you learned something about symbiosis today. If you have any questions, feel free to email either myself or Ms. Sparks, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks, and have an awesome day.